Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House, and welcome my esteemed guest, Carolyn Baker, who has been here before. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, Sandy. Thank you so much for having me.
It's always wonderful having you, and I need you. I said I think I need you maybe more than everybody does, but I think we all need you. And I wanted to show on the screen, you'll see all of these books. This is Carolyn's work, all of this. Everything on the screen is Carolyn's work. So, you'll be seeing her website and you'll have access to be able to see that and purchase any of the books because they're all wonderful and everything is supportive and helpful. And just let me say really quickly, Kim and Jean, thank you. Hello, my moderators who are amazing and wonderful. And I couldn't do it without you guys. So, why we're doing this show tonight? Support. We are on the precipice of, well, political change in the United States, which is spilling over to the world. We are on the collapse train. Now, when we set this up, the fires weren't even happening in California, but we've
Right.
just seen what happened in North Carolina. We saw Asheville get destroyed. We've watched the world through our internet. We've seen all of the terrible events that are happening in climate and environment, and we're witnessing overshoot. So I think tonight we really need to figure out how can we go forward now on the precipice of this cliff. I feel like, I felt like I used to make the Thelma and Louise car with Jen and my face in it, you know. So
Right, right.
welcome. I gave you a lot there. A lot.
Sure did. Sure did.
So
Thank you.
tell the new people that may not know you about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Carolyn Baker, and for about the last 15 or 16, 17 years, I've been writing about collapse. I've been doing interviews about it, and I've been offering collapse coaching, post doom coaching to help people cope with all different aspects of collapse. And so now more than ever, we need support, and that's what the show is about tonight: is how can we support each other? What are some ways that we can weather this very dark storm that we're going to be entering? I've already entered, but we will officially enter on January 20th.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we need. I know I've been feeling, Carolyn, I couldn't put my finger on it. I talk a lot about grief and that I think we feel a lot of grief over what's happening on the planet and what we're witnessing. But for the first time since the election, and of course I've been sick and everybody knows, but I feel almost like it's a depression and I can't put my finger on it. Is it really depression or is it grief? What the hell is it? And I'm sure that a lot of you out there are also wrestling with similar feelings. So what do you
Mhm.
think?
Well, depression is actually suppressed grief. So it's when we don't feel the grief that we get depressed. And so, if you're crying, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling sorrow and sadness, then, you're on the right track, actually. And it's not pleasant. Nobody loves the feeling. But it's when we don't allow ourselves that sadness and sorrow that we can become numb. And then that turns into depression. And that can be very serious.
Well, then maybe I'm not depressed because I do feel it and I let it out. Maybe it is that grief. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
situational, and it's not depression because I don't think it's clinical, but I've been wrestling
No,
with it. And
no.
also
Yeah.
illness, flu twice
Sure,
and a
sure.
miserable 6 weeks of just
Mhm.
outright really sick.
Lots of sorrow and stress, but you wouldn't be doing this show if you were depressed. because depression is all about numbing, and just trying not to think about it, not to feel about it.
Right.
So I would say you're definitely not depressed.
Okay. Okay. Because there are times, trust me, that I say, I'm just not doing this. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done. But
Sure,
I then I
sure.
but I can't do that. And so I made the decision to just not mention the orange turd's name and talk about the climate like always, like we did. Jennifer and I did a lot of that work. Talk about climate and environment and policy and what's
Hmm.
happening in the
Hmm.
world without talking about them or him. It's
Yeah,
policy. So
yeah.
that's what I made the
Hmm.
decision. And you know,
Yeah.
you and I talked about wrestling with, well, how um are we a target for doing what we're doing? You know, that's
Hmm.
another thing I
Hmm.
think about. I'm on
Sure.
YouTube, I'm doing this.
Hmm.
Or is it just that we're so little and insignificant? Who cares?
Yeah, well, in the big picture, I recently stopped producing my daily news digest. Now, I am one of the littlest fish in one of the littlest ponds.
Oh,
Nevertheless, I don't want any targets on my back because I intend to continue doing the work that I'm doing and focusing much more on coaching because that's what people really need right now.
yes.
So I didn't want to take any chances of having a target. And so I stopped producing my daily news digest, which I produced every day for 15 years.
I know.
Um, and I feel good about letting that go and focusing elsewhere. But, one never knows. You can think you're a small target and nobody cares, but you don't know that. So, each person needs to do what they feel is right for them.
Right. Well, I definitely think about protection. And
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
tough and I am somebody who thinks about personal safety and I'm not worried that way. Not too much, not too much. But you do have to think about that. I found
Yeah.
out that, anybody I mean I have to say this, you Google me and I'm right there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
insane. And but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
worry about it. It's counterproductive at this point. We'll go as far as, but there's others that are giving up doing this. There are.
Hmm. Sure. Sure. If somebody comes to you and says you must cease and desist, then you need that. That'll be a tough decision.
Right.
Um, but nobody. It may be that nobody even does this the favor of saying you must cease and desist. Maybe they would just go after you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be paranoid about it.
No, I don't.
I also think it's important to be cautious and be
Mm-hmm.
aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. But I also think that, the on the other side, those free speech warriors, it's going to be free speech who they decide. And I say they because we
Hmm.
all know who they are, who
Yeah,
they
we do.
decide who has free speech or not, you know.
Right.
But I think I don't know if climate and environmental people are going to be the first target. I mean, I don't even have 5,000 subscribers. We're so insignificant.
Well,
But it's something I've
yeah.
thought about. It's sad.
Yeah, I don't think that the climate people necessarily will be the targets, but I think the people that will be the targets are those who speak against him.
Hmm.
If you're really speaking loudly against him and the administration, I think that puts you in more jeopardy
Well, it'll be
because it's all about
policy.
narcissism. It's all about him and what we say about him, that he cares about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it's crazy. It's very sad. But okay, so we do have an article, and I think we're going to do this article. I think it's important. So let me set this up. Carolyn, I mean, we can tag team or you can read it. I'll let you open it up. Hang on, let me get into that screen.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you open it up and tell us about the article. And I think it's important to read this article. I had put it into the show notes, but it was really good. And why don't
Mhm.
you go for it?
Sure. This article was written in 2019 by Paul Chifurka, who lives in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
It's called My Life in Collapse. And he talks about how he got into thinking about collapse and how he's navigating it, which I really likes. I really like these main points here. He talks about he calls himself a collapsologist,
Yes.
and he says collapsology isn't a formal field of scientific study. Instead, it's a way of describing the open source research of individuals who are concerned that society or civilization may collapse at some point, possibly in the near future, due to the convergence of various internal and external pressure. These pressures include environmental, ecological, economic, and structural problems, among others. So, what he's saying there is he isn't using the word polycrisis or metacrisis. This is before people started using that word. Those
Mm-hmm.
two words are kind of like in the last couple of years.
Right.
Um,
I use it.
but but yeah, exactly. It's really important to understand what the polycrisis is, and he's defining it here, where you have a convergence of many crises coming together that it's so overwhelming that it makes it really difficult to concentrate on any one of the problems because they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about climate change, ocean acidification, the way food supply is affected through floods and droughts, um,
Big.
and he also adds to that, which we're talking about tonight, structural problems that are the result of the rise of authoritarian governments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you haven't read Joseph Tainter's book, The Collapse of Complex Societies, that's like a Bible of collapse that was written by this Mormon professor somewhere in Utah many years ago. And it's absolutely, I think, the best explanation of collapse, scientifically based,
Mm-hmm.
of anything I've ever read. So, The Collapse of Complex Societies, Joseph Tainter,
Okay.
Tinter.
All right.
Um, and he says, as all of these issues interact, collapse is usually seen as a result of the unexpected consequences of their interactions, rather than being ascribed to any single factor. So he's making a very important point here, is that all of these different kinds of collapse interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he said, because of this, collapsology tends to be concerned with identifying these interactions. As a result, the field is highly speculative, and its practitioners tend to be prone to confirmation bias.
Oh.
So, collapsologists play the role of social thought leaders. They identify and support the existence of large scale issues that others may not have recognized. They also invite others to think deeply about the negative consequences of situations that most people take for granted and see as benign or positive. For example, the growth imperative of modern civilization. Everybody wants to grow and grow and grow, and yet that's our downfall.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a result, collapsologists are often seen as modern Cassandras or Jeremiahs. This
Yes.
pejorative view has been fading as climate change has made its way into mainstream conversations. So I remember, maybe 10 years ago, people like me would just, we were called Cassandras. Oh,
Yeah.
doom and gloom. And oh my God, Debbie Downers. And now, the talk of climate change is going into the mainstream. And like tonight, I saw on Facebook somebody said, "Oh, I wish they would talk about climate change when they talk about the LA fires." Well, that's not the problem. They are talking about climate change, but what they're not doing is they're not going to the next step, which is, okay, so what do we have to do to prevent this? They're just saying, well, this is a result of climate change and drought and no rain and high winds. Okay, fine. But then what's the next step? And that's where people are not going right now, because that bumps up squarely against the administration, which is all about drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, actually. Drill,
Yeah,
baby,
yeah.
drill.
And so Paul says, he says, he said, I wasn't particularly interested in spiritual traditions, but he said, this whole collapsology has taken me into, how do I live with this? How do I manage my emotions about this? And he talks about his ex friend and my ex friend, Mike Rupert, who committed suicide in 2013 because he just couldn't handle it. Mike did not know how to live with it. Not that any of us really does, but it was really very, very overwhelming for Mike. And so what Paul Chafurka is saying here is like, he said, I'm needing a way to manage my emotions, and I'm needing a way to make some meaning of this.
Hmm.
And that's a very important piece because, you know, suffering, lots of people can go through suffering.
Yeah.
But what makes suffering overwhelming is when we don't see any meaning in it, when we can't make any sense of it. So that's what he's trying to do. That's what I've been trying to do with all of my books, with all of my work for these many years.
Paul's
Is
amazing.
to, that is what keeps us from getting depressed and overwhelmed. Um, and then he talks about Buddhism, which he has taken up and has really been helpful to him. Um, I'm not a practicing Buddhist, but I see it as a great philosophy. A lot of people think of it as a religion, but it's actually a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helpful. That perspective is very helpful for some people. I've been a student of Carl Jung for many, many years,
Oh, yeah.
and Jung was not a Buddhist, but he very much had a lot of the Buddhist principles in his way of thinking and working. Um, and then at the end of the article, Paul is asking the question, what are the most important insights in your experience that you think people in society needs? And he said, along the way, I've had one major insight that made my view of the future more realistic. One of my previous collapse beliefs had been that there would come a point at which the center could not hold and there would be a monolithic global collapse of the structures of civilization. This belief was rooted in my own fears of change and death and could not possibly happen in real life for a variety of reasons. Instead, I came to understand the unraveling process as one of regional fragmentation, in which various parts of the world fell apart in their own ways and in their own timetables. Essentially, it's the same effect that one sees today when comparing places like Haiti, Ukraine, and Western Europe. Some regions have
And
already
Gaza.
experienced collapse, some are teetering on the brink, and others have some distance to go. So I think that's a really important observation. Um, and another more recent insight is that we're not a broken species bound by genetics and physical laws to a deterministic path of planetary destruction. There appears to have been a cultural shift in Eurasia about 6,000 years ago that set us on our current voracious path. We're victims of culture, not physics. Unfortunately, that doesn't make much difference to outcome. The shackles of the global culture of growth
Yeah.
are now at least as strong as any chains made of DNA and thermodynamics. Another crucial insight was that personal actions are most effective when directed toward personal outcomes. We are not all world leaders, global statesmen, or politicians on a large scale. However, we each have an influence within a smaller personal sphere. And it's from those actions that we derive the most meaning and satisfaction in life. So, one of the things he's saying here is that whatever you're doing to cope and to manage the polycrisis, you've got to get involved in some way on the local level
Yes, that's what we
because
do all the time.
we need each other. You know, if you think you can navigate this on your own, in your own little bunker or with your own little stock of efforts, it's like you're just wrong. It's just, that's just not reality.
Hmm.
We need each other. And right now, it's like, and I've been writing about this a lot. One of the most important things is that we can say about collapse is, asking the question, what is needed of me? What can I give right now? Not what can I get, what can I take, but
Right.
what what is being asked of me. And certainly there is much in everybody's local community that's being asked of you. And there's a million ways to get involved. Whether that's local
Hmm.
food, whether that's you know uh, working with animals, whether it's some kind of farming, whatever it is, your local community needs you. And I think I've been reading, just recently, I've been reading Meg Wheatley's book, Who Do We Choose to Be? And she talks in there about how important it is not to go down the road of American capitalism, which is I got to do something big, you know.
Hmm.
I really have to make a difference. And boy, if I don't make a difference, then there's no point in doing this. It's not about making a difference. It's not about doing something big. It's about doing what's in front of you
Hmm.
and doing it because it's the right thing to do, because you cannot not do it. And the outcome, I should say, will be whatever it is. But the main thing, and you're going to feel much better if you look at all this in this way. You know, this is collapse is asking something of me to give of myself in my local community, in the sphere of people around me, and that hasn't doesn't have to have big flashy results. I just
Right.
need to do. I'm called to do it. Something is calling me to do it, and it's the right thing to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
It makes sense. And this is what we
Yeah,
do talk about. We talk about
yeah, I
doing
know.
things and always, finding some kind of fulfillment that will here I'm going to put Karen's up, Karen Perry, and Karen Perry.
Yeah,
Doomers
yeah,
aren't quitters. We do more, which can also mean doing
right.
more of doing less, like slowing down and hanging out with the wild
Yeah,
world. And
exactly.
what's important to you in this. And when we feel this what I've been feeling, to look outside myself and not just sit
Abs-
and wallow, because it's easy to
exactly.
wallow. It's very easy to
Yes,
wallow. I could
yeah,
do that,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't
It's
want
very
to do
easy to
that.
feel victimized by all of this. I mean, on one level, we are victims, but, let's not buy into the role and make sweatshirts that say I'm a victim. Um,
That's a good one.
you know,
Yeah.
And Paul gives these 10 things that I just like to share toward the end of his article because I think they're really practical.
Okay.
First of all, he says, stay awake to what's happening around us. Don't get hung up by other people's shoulds and shouldn'ts. Number three, occasionally re examine your personal values. If they aren't in alignment with what you think the world needs, change them. Fourth, hold all the world's various beliefs and isms lightly, including your own. 5, don't blame people. Others are as much victims of the situation as we are, even the CEOs and politicians.
Oof.
6, blame, anger, and outrage are pointless. They waste precious energy that we need for more useful work. 7, forgive others, forgive ourselves for everything. 8, laugh a lot at everything, including yourself. 9, enjoy life. It may be the only one you get. And 10, love everything just as deeply as you can.
I love it. The
Yeah, so
hard
you
part,
can.
the hard part recently is the CEO part. However,
Mhm,
as I've said, when this whole thing happened with Luigi Mangione and the United Healthcare
mhm,
guy, this
mhm.
guy, well, it's just he is also not a victim, but I mean he's also playing a role in our society that has been
Right,
created by what we
right.
have become, and he
Yes,
just happened to
yes,
be there. And
yeah.
and so I mean, I didn't hate the guy. I didn't like what he did. I don't like
Mhm,
the things, but it's very it's if you see the bigger picture, these people have just stepped in. I mean, think about this, Carolyn. Like Mark Zuckerberg, we might not like him at all, what he's become, but he was just a stupid, goofy college kid,
yeah, it was. It was. Yeah,
and he
exactly.
he made Facebook, but he's now become a product of what he's around, and the
Yeah.
the the more money they have and the more they get involved in all of this political, the bigger sphere, the uglier they become, really,
Right.
because money just
And
perverts them.
and it's not helpful for ourselves or the world to focus on any one of these people like, oh, he's a dick, if it wasn't for him, blah blah blah. No, he's, like you said, is playing a part in a system. And it's the system, not any particular person, that it has
Mhm.
caused us to be where we are right now. You're going to put the link to this article in the chat,
It's
right?
it's already there. It's in the
Okay,
show
cool.
notes. It's in the
Yeah.
show notes.
Okay.
And
So
is your website. So, yes.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, because if people want to go back and read this article, I think it's a good one to keep on, on the top of your list.
Absolutely. Well, what do you say to the person that says, I can't. I can't go
I,
on. I can't go on. It hurts too much. I can't go on. I see no future.
mm-hmm,
There is no
mm-hmm,
future. And it's very easy to say, well, yeah, climatologically, the earth, we are in a problem, and I make the, we are so fuck videos or whatever. But what do you say to that person to help
mm-hmm.
them get through the day? There's so much
Well,
anger.
yeah, if I were working with them, one on one, I would ask them, please tell me about what you're feeling. Tell me about your sadness. Tell me about your grief. Tell me about your anger. Because I think that's one of the big problems. People have all these feelings, as they should, and they have no place to take those feelings, and nobody that really wants to listen to them, or that really understands why they're feeling those things. So, and we can do this with each other. It's like somebody says, I'm so fucking sad, I can't go on. Well, sit down with them and say, well, tell me about your sadness. Tell me about your anger. That's the least we can do is listen to each other.
And if you in the chat want to ask a question, please put a Q in front of it, because we're going to be doing this. We're going to probably keep the show to an hour, and I would like to get some of your interaction, definitely here with Carolyn. So do that. And Carolyn, I do have a couple of comments I wanted to put up.
Sure.
Ringtail Fox, welcome. I wonder if any of the climate catastrophe can be blamed on religion, specifically the whole God gave man control of the earth as to do as he sees fit. So be fruitful and multiply type of crap. And we have dealt with that. You and I did a show
Mhm.
on your book,
Yeah. Yeah.
Christofascism.
Right.
So
Right.
how do you
Yeah.
answer
So,
this?
Okay, so yeah, some of it can be blamed on that because, for thousands of years, Christians have been saying, well, God gave us dominion over
Yeah.
the earth, and so we're going to do with it whatever we want to do. Um, and the opposite of that is eco spirituality, which is each living being, each part of nature is a part of me. I'm inextricably connected with all that is, with the trees, the birds, the water, and it's like, when you have that sense of connection with nature, then you are less likely to want to control it or have dominion over it because you are one with it, you know it's like, I love you, so I don't need to control you. I just love you.
Okay.
There was a
Okay.
second one that
Now,
came up, and I didn't see it.
what you had you
There
saw
was a
something
second. There was a second comment that came up, and I did not see it.
from Ringtail Fox?
I don't know who it was from because
Okay,
it just went.
all right. Ringtail Fox
Okay.
had said, I beg to politely differ earlier. We are a deeply flawed species. We are a genetic dead end. Look at the other primate species. They're all deeply flawed and destructive and violent as hell. We are very
Mm,
violent. We are, you
hmm
have to admit, we are a violent species. What do you
hmm
say to that?
What I say to that is, yes, many of our species are violent. But we've forgotten what it means to be human. That's the problem. That's the really bottom ass line here, is that we've forgotten what it means to be human. And human means that uh, well, the word human comes from the word hummus, and I don't mean the kind that you dip your chips in. But hummus just means the earth. It just means dirt and sand and the soil. So that's who we are. And when we know that, we're not going to be a deeply flawed species. We're not going to be wanting to control and destroy. Um, and so, as we appreciate our humanity and what that really means, um, that's what changes us. And I think that's a lot of what Paul Chafurka is talking about in this article.
Okay, yes. What do you
And it
say?
doesn't help. It doesn't help to say humans are so fucked up, and
I know.
I hate them, and and they're gonna kill us, and like it's
We
like,
are
okay,
human.
you're human, I'm human. We've forgotten what it means to be human. So our work now is to recover and reclaim our humanity.
And reclaim it in the time we have left to have
Yeah,
humanity.
yeah, because that
Yes.
humanity is sacred. It is sacred.
Karen says Ishmael by Daniel Quinn makes it clear that this is not a species issue, but a flawed story for our species, that our species is enacting.
Saying exactly, exactly.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of people who are very angry and will say, humans need to go extinct. I hate them. Humans are the problem, blah, blah. I understand that. But then when you look at the people around you that you love and the people that
Hmm.
in our chat, for example, or my neighbors or my people that help me, how could you feel that way about everyone? You can't put that paintbrush on everyone. You just can't. I don't feel that
Right,
way.
right, right. I completely agree with you. And all you're doing by walking around with that attitude is you're seething with anger, which is rotting your insides, and you are of no use to anyone or anything. So
Yeah.
go to your grief, stop with the pissy attitude, and go to your grief and your sorrow, bawl your eyes out, grieve your guts out, and then come back to me and say, what do I need to do to be more human?
To be more human, or even learn what being human is
Human
for
means. Yeah.
some people. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Karen, singing way, I think it helps to call out their disgustingness because then our young are less likely to idolize them. And we're talking
Yeah,
about those
yeah,
CEOs or those, ultra uber disgusting wealthy
sure,
people like
sure.
Elon
Yeah,
Musk. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely call them out. Absolutely point out the contradictions and the destructiveness of their perspective.
Okay. Now, see, good old Sam. I wish every human on the planet would go to sleep tonight and not wake up tomorrow. Well, honey, that
Mm,
isn't going to happen.
no, it's
And
not
no
going to
matter how
happen.
much he hates, he wants to paint that brush on everybody. There's a lot of love in his life, and he has a lot of
Yeah,
people
good.
that care about him, and he knows it.
I'm glad.
He
I'm
knows
glad.
it.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Wanda. Carolyn, how does one connect with their adult children who are taken by TikTok conspiracies? We are holding on, but it hurts when they can't see reality. And that's a big question because
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
happening all over.
Yeah. You got to keep talking with your kids, and asking them
They're
questions and
grown
asking
kids.
them how they feel and talk about their feelings with you. And don't attack social media because it's a part of their life, always will be, probably. Um, but just, get real in your conversations of dialoguing with each other about how you feel.
Yeah, but what if you can't? I mean, this is unfortunately the cult. Okay, if they're in the
Hmm.
cult, it's very hard to get through to people in the cult. How? What do
Hmm.
we do? I have people that just you cannot get through to them no matter what you do. Do you just say, "Okay, I give up"? Do you continue trying, or for your own mental health, do you just say it's lost cause, especially if it's your kids? I mean, this is very very
Hmm.
hard. I happen to know Wanda's situation.
So, um, you know what you'd like them to have, but ask yourself, what do you want from them? What do you
Ah,
want from them? Okay.
we
You
we
want what you want for them. That's different than what do you want from them.
ah, that's
My guess
really
is
good.
my guess is you really would like to talk with them and be heard and listen deeply to them.
Okay, okay, I like that. I do. That's with children. With adults, it's a little
Hmm.
bit different, I
Hmm.
think. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Mhm.
Latino, hi, hun. The problems of social media are the problems capitalism imposes on it.
I agree.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latino's wonderful. Great person. I'm so happy you're here tonight. Uh, let's see. I got Keith is being a little Keithy tonight. How does Carolyn feel about peak oil? You know Keith?
I don't know Keith.
K Dog?
Hi,
Okay.
yeah, hi Keith. I haven't talked about peak oil for a very long time, but how I feel about it, yeah, I uh, I agree that peak oil is real. So, and I started out in my work many years ago talking about peak oil. With all the great other people like Colin Campbell and Richard Heinberg and Mike Rupert. And
Yes, you did.
sure.
You are the grande dame of the doomosphere, Carolyn. You are. You are. You have definitely earned the ranking. Lightning Rod, question: do you have a definition of what you think a doomer is? The media seem to think doomers are the give up kind and want to do nothing, which we all know.
Okay.
But what do you
There's
think?
a wonderful book. There's a wonderful book that I just finished reading called Life After Doom by a guy named Brian McLaren. Life After
Oh,
Doom.
I just heard of that book. Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Read it,
Okay.
because Some people call me a doomer, but I have a life and I love my life. And, I hold that joy of my life alongside all the sorrow and pain that I feel for the world, moment to moment.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that for me too. I feel, the label is just a label, doomer,
Hmm.
but like Karen says, it's do more. And I
Do
do
more.
when I
Right.
can, when I'm not sick
Yeah.
or sorry, I can't move,
Yeah.
but I,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I do more. I try. We have local things going on here. Now the big thing here that's terrifying me is the fracking issue and
Hmm.
that New York State is vulnerable, even though we have a ban. We get a
Okay.
Republican governor in 2 years because they don't particularly like people don't particularly love Kathy Hochul, and we're done.
Right.
And I live on the shale. I live in. They're going to
Yeah.
ruin my county. So I am
Yeah.
definitely going to be invested in trying to keep that out because that is an activism. That's what I can do here with other
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Let's see, guys. Oh, there's not too many questions. Where's all the questions?
Yeah. Really. Where are they?
Where are they? Carolyn's here for you. Um, Screw you. Wait. Global. We were stealing
Interesting.
Iraq oil with horizontal drilling in the 80s.
Hmm.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, we've not yeah, I like to say when was America great? Make
Yeah.
America
Yeah.
great again. Carolyn, what do you think about the economic statement of country or landowner selling the rights to prospect oil but keep it in the ground? This should attract investment for the end of oil 2050. So buying the rights and not doing it.
Hmm. It sounds another form of rape of the earth. Um,
Even if it doesn't happen.
well,
This is interesting, Oliver.
yeah,
But keep it
buying
in the
the.
ground. See, selling the rights to prospect oil, but keeping it in the ground. So, in other words, selling the rights, but then just not doing it.
Hmm.
And then attracting.
Hmm.
That's interesting, Oliver. And we're going to have to talk about this more in the Climate Crisis Club, which I plug on Saturdays. The thing I like the Climate Crisis Club. I just don't like that it's on Spaces on X Twitter. But there's a lot of wonderful people, and Oliver's in the UK, and he's one of those that I've crossed paths with, and I'm really grateful. And so is Alex Hale here. All right. Let's see. Karen Perry, love Karen. Mwah. Karen. Post Doom Karen, I love you. What are you going to be doing now that the Daily Digest has wrapped? Thank you for
Okay.
all the years of doing that. You will definitely be missed.
Yeah, I am missed. I know that. I'm getting some wonderful messages about how much people are missing
And
me.
I
But
missed your
uh,
email. My God.
so, what I have decided to do, given the crisis that we're in, given what's going on with people emotionally these days, is focus on collapse coaching or post doom coaching. Where
Okay.
people can talk with me and I can talk with them deeply and do some of the emotional work that this crisis is demanding. This crisis is demanding many things from us, and I think that it's sending us an engraved invitation to go deeply into ourselves and heal the parts of us that have contributed to the creation of this predicament. Um, and it's calling us to follow those feelings that we have, the grief, the anger, the fear, and not to follow that in isolation, but to work with people, others who can help us process those feelings and turn those feelings into an experience, a trajectory of service and love for our planet. So that's what I'm about these days. That's what lights me up. And
It's
I
what
just,
lights you up. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I love
And
it.
so that's
You
why,
light me up.
that's much, well, thank you. That's much more important to me than reporting the news. So,
Okay. I do still do that, but I will.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, Alex said we will move to the Climate Crisis Club to Blue Sky when possible. So let's hope Blue Sky comes up with something like that. I know it costs money and it takes time. But thank you for answering, Alex. I didn't realize that you were actually thinking about it, so that's good. Okay. Have you participated in Climate Awakening, Margaret Klein Solomon's free online climate emotions thing? I know
I
I'm
have
always
not.
getting that.
I have not, but I have heard wonderful things about
Yeah.
her processing, and I've also done some work with Laura and Amy, and who wrote the book. Oh, How to Live with Climate. What is the title of their book? Laura Schmidt and Amy Lewis Rowe.
How come they
How
sound so
to,
familiar?
Good Grief Network.
Oh, okay, that's why. Yeah,
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 that's who
Good
they
Grief
are.
Network. Yeah, and they do some really important work
Did they
around that
ever
too. So
did they go to your any of your workshops?
they were in the workshop you were in
Yes, that's it.
that
That's
Dean
it.
Walker and
I
I did.
knew it.
Yes.
I knew I knew them. I knew this.
Uh-huh.
They were wonderful. Yeah, I mean that was really for me. That was a blessing to be able to go to that.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great. I knew it. Sass, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay, Volt Revolt. Do you think the rise of fascism is psychologically related to or influenced by climate change?
Certainly
Mm.
related to, um, because all of these, all of these scoundrels know that climate change is real. Why are these billionaires building bunkers?
Yeah, bunker
If they
babies.
if they think that climate change is not real. So certainly they know that, and part of the fascism, the authoritarianism, is just to get everything out of the way that would stand in their way of um, further holding the planet hostage and raping the planet for their benefit. So yeah, authoritarianism is very useful and convenient and
Mm,
helpful to them.
mm.
So sure, the related,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I made a video on it. I called it Bunker Babies a couple of
Hmm.
years ago because
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
happening. And I mean
yeah.
it's happening. They've have vast amounts of land in the Midwest with these
Hmm.
bunkers that used to be silos. They have all
Yeah.
of these people that are have signed up to be security, which when
Hmm.
the shit goes down, sorry, you're not going to be asked inside, dudes. So, and
Right,
there are a lot
right.
of like, those big MAGA looking men.
Hmm.
Jeez. The,
Hmm.
the old military guys, they really think.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so Elon's got one of those bunkers already, and he's going to move his three wives and all of his kids into them.
The
Yeah.
harem.
Yeah.
The harem.
The harem, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless he wigs out on what does he do, ketamine, whatever. But that's all just conjecture. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I
We
have
don't know.
three super chats, and I want to say thank you before that we go. Benny Loco, I love you, sweetheart. She's got a show called 21st Century Suffragettes on YouTube
Hmm.
with other
Great.
gals. They're
All
wonderful.
right. All right.
Keep kicking ass and taking names. Sandy, yes, Benny,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love you, honey.
yeah.
And Nadia, our amazing Nadia. Christofascists intend so much worse than killing me that I'm more terrified that they'll get their hands on me than angry, etc. Also, three cheers for Luigi. Well, I understand because
Yeah.
Nadia is trans and she is on the front lines of getting of all of the ire and wrath, and it's such a small percentage of people that are getting the focus, and it's absolutely horrible, and we really love Nadia.
Yeah.
We
Love
just
you, Nadia, and
yes.
I share your concerns for anybody in the LGBTQ community. And of course, they do want to turn us into the Handmaid's Tale. So, yeah.
Yes, I know, but maybe even worse is what she fears. uh
Hmm.
Some Christofascists have the idea that the earth was made sufficient for their deity's purposes, so ruining it is a shortcut to summoning Jesus.
That is right. That is absolutely right.
Nadia, you need to read Carolyn's book, Christofascism. Absolutely.
Confronting
Confronting. Yeah.
Christofascism, healing the evangelical wound.
Yep.
And it's right.
We did a show on that, Carolyn, you and I.
We did. We
Yes,
did.
we
And the
did.
cover of that book is in your lineup here, Sandy. So,
I know,
yeah.
it's right there. All these books are Carolyn's books. That's why I put them on the screen, because she's got such a depth and breadth of writing that it's very impressive. And I haven't read them all. I hate to say that, but hey, that's why we need leftist militias. Yeah, baby, I'm in. Yeah, this old lady, I'll be my own. I'm my own militia right here on my place.
Right, you are.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
She's ordering it on Kindle and Audible tonight if they're available. You'll find it. You'll find
Yeah.
it.
So some of them are audiobooks. I think four of them are audiobooks, and the rest are hard copy, Kindle
Okay.
and on Kindle. Yeah.
We've got hello RNS Moonman. Boomers in DC absolutely refuse to give up power and concede the future to any other generation solely responsible for this death spiral the planet's in. How is a bloody revolution not the answer? That's quite a lot of people are feeling like that. It's a
Hmm.
scary prospect unless this is my thought, unless you somehow get the military to understand that they are also victims of
Hmm.
this.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, not all boomers feel this way. I'm a
No.
boomer, and I don't feel that way.
No, there's a lot of people that don't. I'm Generation Jones. I'm right under
Yeah.
it.
All right.
I'm under it, but I look at my mom. She's a boomer.
Yeah.
um, let's see, guys. Thank you, Jackie, the wonderful Jackie, our soil scientist, Red Cross volunteer who is amazing. She went down to North Carolina to help. She's
All
something
right.
else. Yes, there's a lot of really amazing people that
I'm
follow
sure.
our channel. We're
I'm
just
sure.
like spiritually blessed for that.
Yeah, you
All
are.
right. All right. We're almost an hour. I just want to tell everybody that the letter hack at 10 o'clock, if you are looking for something a bit different from what we do, Matt has a show at 10 o'clock tonight. So be sure, if you're interested, to go over there. Um, and Karen says, revolution means going around the same wheel. Evolution is getting off.
I love it.
John Trudell. Really
John
good.
Trudell.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh gosh. I love all of you so much. Nadia, how is revolution more fearful than strangulation via neoliberal austerity? Yeah, we are living in that. I mean, that's
Mhm.
it's going to get
Mhm.
worse, but yeah, it will get worse. All right, so I'm looking for more questions. Oh my goodness. Gary, thank you, Gary. Oh my God. Thank you, Gary. You can't see the giant pear character waving the flags, but wow. Thank you. That is wonderful. And I always like to say thank you because everybody knows that I rescue cats. And I
All
have eight
right.
of them.
All right.
And yeah, and I got a present today of a mouse upstairs, and I do have a mouse.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I have a mouse issue. Ugh, it's disgusting. I think that whatever is in this house is killing me. Um, but I think we've really covered a lot of stuff, a lot of information. I hope you all feel a little bit better after this. And Carolyn will certainly be able to come back with us, I'm
Yeah,
sure. You're a regular,
sure. Yeah.
and we need you. So why don't you give us a closing commentary for us to help us? Because I do already feel a bit better, and well, let's hear it.
Yeah. So,
And then we do need to do the environmental coffee house flush of the day, and you get to choose what we flush. So don't forget that
okay.
too.
So, I was just going to share a quote by Joseph Campbell.
Okay.
He says, "It's the privilege of a lifetime to become who we truly are." And I believe that that is the main thing that collapse is asking of us, to become who we truly are. I'm calling my coaching these days emergence coaching, because what I mean by that is that here we are in this pile of ashes and rubble, and we are being asked to emerge from that rubble to become who we truly are. And if it takes a polycrisis that is destroying the planet for that to happen, um, you know, I wish it didn't, but it may take that for us to emerge. I don't mean all of humanity, but those who feel the deepest pain about this, to come forth and really emerge in terms of the inner transformation that this crisis is asking of us, and also the service and the contribution that this crisis is asking from us. So, those are the thoughts I'd like to end up with.
All right. And what would you choose to flush? Let's flush something away, Carolyn.
Mm, mm. Let's flush our sense of separation from each other, from ourselves, and from the planet. Let's
Okay.
flush all forms of separation because we are all connected. Yeah,
Goodbye, separation. We are all connected. We are
you
all
betcha.
connected. We all have a lot of love here. We do. I'm going. Listen, I know there's a lot of you that still have questions and all that, but I really needed to keep it. Uh, oh well, we have to put this one up. Please, if you sprinkle, when you tinkle, please be neat and wipe the seat.
All right, I love it.
I
I
think
love
we're
it. I
gonna
love it.
we'll
Yeah.
end with you, Melanie, because you're
If I
always
can if I could
yes.
just give my contact information at the end. If you want to talk to me about anything, email me at carolyn@carolynbaker.net.
Okay, and that all is in the show notes. So,
Thank you.
and then of course, we are all in this together. Thanks for the wise, wonderful woman conversation, Sandy and Carolyn and Karen, you will be with us too again. And I just have a lot of
And
love now. And boy, I feel a whole lot better.
good.
I was feeling like shit. So, I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I feel better and I think I can get some stuff done tomorrow and have a better outlook, as bleak as shit might be. It's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Onward and inward.
That's right. All right, guys, don't forget to go to Letterhack if you would like to. He has an interview tonight, and a little bit different than this channel, obviously. He's an extremely talented cartoonist, Carolyn, and he did the Economic Bill of Rights with Harvey
Ah,
J.K. and it's a
uh-huh.
cartoon. I'll send it to you. You'll really
Please
like it.
do.
So I
Yeah, I'd love to
will.
see
I
it.
will. All
Okay,
right, guys.
cool.
Love you, Carolyn. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
You're very,
Mwah.
thank you,
Love
Sandy.
you. I love you. Bye.
Bye bye.